The name of the book is Lost Stories Found. Alan R. Martin is the author. He joins us on Author's Corner here on America Tonight with me, Kate Delaney. And quite possibly, I've only said this a few times, this is one of the best covers I've ever seen. I think the cover just pulls you in. The little girl and the tall woods that she's in front of. It's just beautiful. And the story, the mystery stories, the suspense, all different where you can pick it up at any point. So I love that. And some of the themes that are tackled in Alan's book. So Alan, thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
What made you write this book? What led to the book?
It took me probably about a year to write this book out, or maybe a little longer, because I had something in the first 3 stories when I started. And when I got to pretty much finishing them, I thought, well, I need to, if I'm going to keep writing stories, I want something similar to it, because I don't want to, come up with, say, Jack and Jill went up the hill or something like that, or, something that just didn't fit in. So that's the reason why it probably took me a year or so to go ahead and write the rest of the stories. And of course, I probably, when I was writing A Town's Nightmare, I think I had House of Games that I had partially writ. And I had I think it was On the Wall, and partially A Stranger in the Saloon. And I'm thinking the Forgotten Incident was the one I think I kind of started with. It was something that just kind of bugging me, and it was coming out of the Town's Nightmare for some reason. But yeah, that's how I kind of started. And so I thought I would write the rest to kind of fit in place and see how it just turns out. And yeah, like you said, it's pretty gripping, because it still amazes me how I wrote it, because I don't remember everything I do, and some of these things it just kind of leads on, and the way.
I want to tell everybody they can get your book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and A Town's Nightmare is another book you wrote, A Window Open. They can also find those books there, because, when you refer to Town's Nightmare, that's what you're talking about. And for you, jumping around and coming up with these scary, suspenseful things, I read something where you were influenced by Stephen King. Is it fun to come up with the twists and the suspense and the plots and all that?
Yeah, I think it is, because I don't want to copy another writer, and I don't want to put myself in coming up with something similar to another writer. I have read probably my share of Edgar Allan Poe, and I probably come up with some things from Edgar Allan Poe that is pretty dark at times. And the way the genre of this anthology, they basically say it's a mix of historical fiction, supernatural, psychological thrillers, adventure, and drama. And the drama comes at the end with that Cecil character, which the guy that's doing my audio, he calls him Cecil. And I go, okay, you can call him Cecil. I mean, it's an Irish, I guess, kind of tone, whatever. And I try to use some Irish terms in that story, since it was 1825 in Ireland. at the time, and he was a hobo because they didn't have much food, and Dublin was starving. And basically, if you look at the history, UK basically took basically most of the stuff that Ireland had from them, believe it or not, because they had the I guess the bigger troops and armies, and they could and the ships, and they could just go ahead and take whatever they wanted from Ireland. And Ireland didn't do much, but they did have their oppressors, and they did have their couple people that was noticed in that era about fighting off the Irish. And I think it has something to do with, I don't know the initial of Ireland. When they, I don't know, they're like underground type of organization, and they're fighting the English. But yeah, that's when it all started. It was right around in the 1820s.
Yeah.
So
when people read Lost Stories Found, Alan, what do you hope they come away with?
I think, well, anybody that likes suspense and mystery, I think they should, they'll come away with, a sense of maybe some history. Of course, a lot of this stuff is sort of made up. I have looked at different places for some, I don't know what to call, influence.
Uh-huh.
And so I did get influenced by a couple things that I read, because anytime I start writing, I want to try to get something close to the era that I'm talking about. I don't want to come up with something that's completely didn't even exist in that time period. One thing I do like about this book, and I think other people will, is the timeline. Timeline kind of stretches anything from about 1032 AD, which is after, and then all the way up to about 1905, or even maybe even in the 1930s. But I didn't mention those. The only date I mentioned that probably the earliest date is 1905, and that's in the story on the wall. And that's a guy who he doesn't know if he's got sanity or he's just going mad. Of course, he's in a psych ward. So in 1905, that's back when they still had they still used electric chairs, on their patients, to calm them down.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the old Jack Nicholson movie about they put that thing in their mouth to make them hear their scream, and then they had them hooked up, with their arms on their arms were on the arms of the chair, and of course the electric that was being jolted into them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had that in 1905 too, and I mentioned it, but the madman I was talking about didn't go through that, but he witnessed other patients that went through that, and that's a pretty interesting story. And if I had anything that was probably similar to Edgar Allan Poe, it'd probably be that story there on the wall.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love it. And that's one to read for sure. And that's among the stories that you can read in Alan's book. Alan, thank you so much for coming on with us.
I appreciate you having me.